moving forward here. So, once again, I welcome each one of you, and thank you for your interest in this offering as far as the PMI certification goes. So, without further ado, let me go ahead and show you how to navigate through the PMI website. See, PMI offers a variety of training programs or certification programs, and you can choose to pursue any of these certifications depending on what you qualify for. However, for every certification, there are three critical aspects that you need to look at to understand what the certification is. Number one, look at the handbook, which talks about the eligibility criteria, their policies and procedures. And then you can look at the exam content outline, which is what your test will be based out of. So pretty much every certification that they have in place will be based out of their ECHO or exam content outline, which contains the tasks by each of the domains or process groups, and then also some key concepts pertaining to that certification. Finally, they do have a link to their FAQs, which list the standards and guides along with the other reference materials. So if you go to pmi.org and click on certifications, you will see a listing of their certifications here. You'll see PMP, PGMP, PFMP, CAPM, PMI ACP, PMI RMP, PBA, and SP, which is Scheduling Professional. Now, if you click on, let's say, as an example, PMP, it will bring you to a page which contains exam content outline and handbook. You'll see this for every type of certification. And then if you click on their FAQs and review tips, this will list the materials that you should be reviewing, following the other key sources that would be of help to you or that will aid you in your preparation. And then if you scroll down a little bit, it will also talk about who should apply and then how do you gain it. In other words, the number of questions in the exam and the number of hours. And then the price for a member versus non-membership. So if you take PMI membership, if you click on PMI, you can look at their various membership types.
Hi, Aparimika here.
And generally, each of these, membership, they have different types of membership, like group student membership or senior citizen membership, student membership, or individual member. Most of you, I think, will qualify for individual membership, which is $129 a year. And you just need to get membership. Once you get the membership, then the fee structure is a little bit different for members. So in this case, if you're a member of PMI, you would pay $405 for PMP exam, and non-member will pay $555. So if you add the membership fees along with the member, it's actually cheaper or lesser by $11. Okay. And then they also will post the prerequisites that are required for each of these certifications. So what I would recommend you to do is go to their certifications page and then check out the certifications that you are interested in. However, let me also go ahead and quickly run through the overview of some of the certifications that they're offering. The most popular certification is PMP certification. Some of you actually are interested in pursuing PMP, and some of you already probably have that. But that's the most popular type of certification. And then, again, the requirement is a 4-year college degree with 4,500 hours of experience. So 4,500. So let me tell you, in a year, you would have about 2,080 hours in a business year. So with that said, so you can calculate what 4,500 hours amounts to. And PGMP, again, it's 170 questions test, 4-hour long test. And the PFMP is $170 questions, 4 hours long. And again, you see the fees here. Column 3 lists all the fees for each of these certifications. And CAPM is, again, Certified Associate in Project Management. This certification is for individuals who do not have project management experience. Generally, It's the same questions, same content, but people without any prior project management experience would actually go for this type of certification. But you are here to become or to at least get some information about PBA, Professional in Business Analysis. And it's a 200 question test, 4 hours long. Out of this, only about 170 questions are scored. The other 30 are pre-test questions, as they would like to call it, they meaning PMI. See, the downside to that is they say that these are pre-test or not scored. But the downside is we don't know which 30 questions are not scored. We don't know which 30 questions are not scored. So it's as good as you doing all 200 questions. It's not just about 170. So that's one aspect about any of these tests, even with PFMP or PMP or PGMP. And then finally, they have Agile Certified Practitioner certification that is also available for people. It's about 120 question test and 3 hours long. But as far as PMI PBA is concerned, you should have a bachelor's degree and then 4,500 hours of experience. Generally, it's equivalent to about 3 years worth of experience, I would say, or at least 2.5 years. But just to be on the safe side, at least you should showcase about 3 years worth of BA-related experience. And then you should also have had 2,000 hours of working on project teams. So if you already have a prior PMP or something else, then that would qualify. But when you're showcasing 3 years worth of experience on projects, then 2,000 hours is automatically covered in that. And then finally, you should also have about 35 hours of education in business analysis. It could be through one of the companies that you took BA training in the past. So you could utilize that name, you could use that name to mention that. I'll just go over the application and you'll get some idea about that. And then finally, the risk management professional, scheduling management professional, those are the other certifications as well. But I actually went out and did some research, wanted to understand the number of certification holders across the globe. So far, PMP has about 730,000 certification holders across the globe. PMP is the most popular and most recognized project management certification across the globe, as you already know. And then PGMP, we've got about 1,700, and then PFMP about close to 350. And here, PBA, as of July, or I think as of July 2016, it's 1,400 people. So it's actually gaining traction. This was started in 2014. PMI came up with the certification program in 2014, and it's gaining a lot of traction. People are getting interested, and a lot of companies are also recognizing this certification in hiring business analysts. So let me go ahead and quickly talk about the PBA overview, as in what is PBA. Number one, business analysis has been growing. Up until 2014, it was only IIBA, which was the key organization that was shepherding the business analysis profession. However, from 2014 onwards, PMI stepped into this space, and the PMI saw the potential with regards to business analysis, and they actually said, this is a good place to be in because BAs also do some of the tasks that overlap with project management, and then the success of a project is highly dependent on the BA tasks. So they wanted to standardize this, and that's when they instituted the certification. And as you already know, PMI is world-renowned. That alone has a lot of weightage when you go with the PBA certification in comparison to other BA certifications that are out there in the market. And as I mentioned, 175 are scored and 25 are pre-test. It's a 4 hour, so I would just look at it as a 200 question test. And what are the advantages of a PBA certification? Number one, people have had opportunities in diverse domains as a business analyst. Some of them were able to earn up to 45% more than what they were getting with the certification. I was talking to somebody, and they said it's a bit unbelievable to know that it's 45% increase in their earnings. Well, it's just the best case that could have had happened, okay? But there is certainly an opportunity for growth in terms of your billing rates or your salaries once you have a certification. Not just PBA, but any other certification which is industry recognized and which is popular. Again, it sets you apart from those individuals that do not have any certification. So here is a quick chart for you to understand IIBA, International Institute of Business Analysts, which was the main organization that was providing any of the certifications or coming up with best practices and standards for BA profession, has CBAP and CCBA. It's another certification which is Competency in Business Analysis. CBAP was launched in 2006. A lot of people were popular. A lot of people know about this, and probably you would have heard me talk about this in our formal BA training that you took. But CCBA has been launched in 2011, and as I said, PBA in 2014. So these are the number of people. So if you just look at the proportion here, from 2014, they've had about 1,400 people so far. While CBAP, 2006, they're still at close to 4,000 people. Right, 10 years and still at less than 4,000. So that itself should tell you something about the certification. That's the reason why I actually went ahead and pursued PBA. And as you already know, I do not have any of the IIBA certifications. And then here are some experiences, the total number of hours, and then the other credentials or the prerequisites that are required for this. Okay, and the certification, each of these is valid for up to 3 years. And then within the 3 years period, you need to earn 60 PDUs. Essentially, PDU is nothing but a professional development unit, which is you need to attend some classes, online webinars, or read some materials, and then just go into the PMI.org website and report that essentially you're practicing or you're keeping up with the BA subject or BA contents. And then you need to earn the 60 PDUs, which is pretty easy and straightforward. There's a lot of free resources online which will help you earn that. And then you can renew your certification. Okay. Now, let me get a little bit, let me double click into the PBA aspect itself. As I said, PBA, Professional in Business Analysis, if you actually go back to their website and then go to PMI PBA, you all can download exam content outline. So this serves as the base for the test. This serves as the guide for the exam. In other words, this is the overview. This is the summary of what the test is about, what the certification is about. So PBA has 5 different domains: needs assessment, planning, analysis, traceability and monitoring, and evaluation. Okay, very narrow or very focused towards the BA related aspects. And what you see on the right side here is the number of questions on the test in each of these domains. Okay. And also within each of these domains, they would call out some tasks. For example, needs assessment, number 1, is to define or review a business problem or opportunity using problem or opportunity analysis techniques in order to develop a solution scope statement and or to provide input to create a business case. So we talked about identifying a business problem, discovery rather than invention. Or we talked about a business case, which is justification in our formal class. So you will have to understand how to develop that, right? Or how do you collect and analyze information from a variety of sources using some valuation tools and techniques to contribute to determine the value proposition of the initiative. In other words, what are the benefits? What is the value of the initiative that you're trying to take up? So these are some of the things that ECHO or exam content outline will list. And these are based off of a role delineated study. That's the term that PMI uses, RDS, which is conducted by some experts in the industry. And they will be coming up with this task and ECHO. And then from there, they will put together the questions in the exam itself. Okay. And then if you scroll down, they'll also list out some knowledge and skills, essentially the key topics or key concepts. For example, different types of analytical tools and techniques, or backlog management, or business rule analysis, change control tools, collaboration, conflict management, contingency planning. So most of it we've covered in our formal class, in our actual BA training class. There's a little bit of subject here that probably is not covered because those are pertaining to project management. Some of you may remember Ishikawa or fishbone diagram, which is used for root cause analysis as part of conflict resolution. Or traceability, RTM. We talked about requirements traceability matrix, and testing concepts were covered, user acceptance testing, etc. We talked about SWOT analysis. Of course, we didn't talk about value stream map here, or Kano model, or net promoter score. But again, these are used within the discovery phases or these are used from a project management angle. Version control tools is something that we also covered, so you are familiar with this. So I would say, for those of you that already took this training program, probably about a good 65%, 65 to 70% is covered. The other 30% is probably new, but I don't think it's going to be that tough or hard because it's all related and connected to the other 65, 70%. So this is what I was mentioning. So RDS, role dealing and study process, identifies what needs to be in a particular certification, and they will develop a plan, etc. But quickly, if I had to summarize what needs assessment is, it is understanding the business problem, right? Stakeholder analysis, creating business analysis plan and planning the BA work is part of business analysis planning. See, one thing you probably heard me talk earlier in a training program is the project management plan. What we didn't talk about is the requirements management plan. If you were in my PMP class, you would have heard the term requirements management plan. For every knowledge area, there is a planning document, communications plan, HR plan, scope plan, time plan, schedule plan, stakeholder management plan, procurement management plan, integration management plan. Each of these are different plans. So requirements management plan, how do you conduct requirements gathering activities? So that is what will be discussed in a BA planning domain. And then requirements elicitation and analysis. How do you elicit? Elicit goes beyond the act of gathering the requirements, right? We gather and then we have to elicit. What do we mean by eliciting? Making sure that we are detailing it enough so that the architects or the developers can actually build an application that works. So that is part of your elicitation techniques. How do you elicit? What are the things that you should be doing as far as elicitation? How do you analyze it? How do you model and refine? How do you model and refine? For example, UML diagrams. We covered that as part of the training program. So, and then documentation. How do you validate the requirements and how do you resolve conflicts? How do you get your approvals? Which is essentially presenting the case studies or presenting your artifacts to the corresponding stakeholders and getting the approvals. And then finally, traceability and monitoring, which is how do you trace each of these requirements back to the original scope statement? How do you monitor the requirements? How do you manage change requests? So this is the secondary aspect of requirements gathering and management. Once you gather and manage, then you have to ensure that they are tracing back to the source, and each of these requirements can be traced to a test case, or there are test cases of each of these requirements, and also you're able to manage the change requests. It's about 15%. And then finally, evaluation, which is testing, making sure your application that is being built meets the acceptance criteria, make sure that there are no defects, making sure that you are obtaining the go, no-go decision, evaluating the long-term performance, and if there's anything to phase out or decommission an application, that is also part of the solution evaluation. So this is at a high level. These are the domains that are associated with the PBA certification. And again, as I said, 65 to 70% of the contents within these domains are something that you're already familiar with. Okay, you just need a revision, but the other 30% might be new, and it is not going to be very difficult, because that is associated with these other 65%. But the key domain, as you see here, is about 35% weightage for requirements elicitation and analysis, which is where I think most of you would be strong, because if you have completed your SRS, data dictionary, and GUI screens in the class successfully, then you would be strong in this area. Okay. Now that's a little bit about the concept or the content and the exam domains and the descriptions. Well, let me quickly run through the certification steps. Okay. So first you will fill the application, and they will review your application about 5 days and then get back to you, then ask you to make the payment, and then once you make the payment, they will let you know if your application has been picked for audit or not. And you need to be careful at the time of filling your application so that you can avoid audit process. Audit is something that will occur only when you do not provide information, or when there is lack of clarity in the information that you provide, when there's lack of clarity in the information that you provide at the time of your original application. So if you can make sure that there's no conflict or there's no gap when you provide that original information, then it will be easy and you can avoid any audits and your application will not be picked for audit. Okay. And then once they clear that, audit essentially is about, they'll ask you to support your information, such as, if you work in, let's say, company ABC, they may want you to send some reference letters or give a name or an email of a person that can say, hey, yes, this person worked in so-and-so company as a business analyst or so-and-so capacity. And then from there, you will have about a year to take your exam. Once they clear the audit, or once you're given permission to take the exam, you will have 1 year to schedule. Okay, and then you will get into the certification cycle. Again, this information is also available in the handbook, which is available on PMI.org.
No.
Now, what would your application process contain? So there's a lot of people when I interacted, not just from this group here, but people outside, even in the industry, anybody that is taking any of the PMI certifications, even with PMP certification, the biggest challenge or the biggest fear is about how do I fill my application? How do I fill my application? I don't know how to do it. I don't know, what I should be doing or what I should not be doing. But if you actually understand the application process and think through that, then it's easy. And then you also have to provide your education that you obtain, if you have a bachelor's degree or a master's degree, or if not a secondary degree. And then you have to explain your experience by each domain and the hours that you spent in each domain and the summary of the projects. And then finally, the BA education. So let me actually show you the application template that you will have access to so that you can populate this. So here, let's say you have your project 1. And then let's say your start date is, I'm just making it up, okay, 2013. And your end date is, let's say, 12/31/2016. And the number of duration in months, so that's instead of 36, I would say, let's say 30 months. Okay, and the total time that I spent here, as a best practice, we are saying this don't exceed 80%, but let's say 75%. Now, if you press F9, it automatically calculates the number of hours. Okay. Now, you just need to enter, let's say, needs assessment. I would have spent about 20%, and then planning another 20%. I'm just going even here just to show you an example. And let's say evaluation 20%. Okay. Now, if I press F9, so it's 100%, so that means it's correct. Because all these needs to add up to 100%. So now, based on that, it's calculating the number of hours. So I already obtained about 3,938 hours, right? But let's say, because I'm going with, 3 years, I'm just saying 30 months. But let's say if I said 33 months. Look, now the total number of hours, 4,331, which is what it is. So, or let's say if I go with 35 months, it's 4,594. Does anyone remember how many hours you need to qualify for PBA? You can just type it in the chat window. I mentioned the number of hours you would need to qualify for PBA. Okay, 4,500. Okay. 4,500. Is everyone able to view my screen? Are you able to see the Excel sheet? Okay, good. All right, thank you. So that's how you do it. You can list your projects, multiple projects, and that will calculate. That will help you calculate. Now, how do you enter your tasks? So in your application, there's a section for you to enter the tasks that you would have performed on each of these projects. So, for example, within each of these tasks, each of these domains needs assessment. These are some of the tasks, right? You can enter these tasks. Remember, they're providing you with ECO, exam content outline. You can pretty much take that and modify that a little bit and enter the tasks in your application process, traceability monitoring, solutions evaluation. Again, you don't have to enter all of these because the character count on the application is about 300 characters. So you really don't have to enter a long story or a huge paragraph. It has to be crisp and simple to the point. Okay, so, and then finally your education. Which education did you obtain pertaining to business analysis? It could be some of the classes that you took in your master's or MBA or in any of the other areas. You can mention the course, the institution name that you took the course from, and then the dates, the total hours. Okay, all you need is you just need about 35 hours worth of education to qualify. Now let me actually show you the filled out application form. There's some information that is grayed out, but this is the application. Once you go online, you will fill each and every section, and then you can generate, you can export the application form into a PDF format like this. You just mention your name, your contact information, the name that you want to appear on the certificate, and then your attained education, any high school degree or bachelor's degree, whatever it is, and then your BA experience. When did you start? Through when? The role that you played. See, I want to make sure that you understand one thing here. Your title may be different than your role. Your title may be, for example, there's some people who could be working in a bank. Most of the banks would give different titles like VP, AVP, SVP. When I saw some of my friends having the title, I was like, wow, man, you became a VP at a very young age. Then I realized that the work that they do is comparable to a BA type of work, or a manager type of work, or project manager type of work. So your title may be different. For example, I was talking to somebody else last week. Their title was estimator title. They've been estimating some financial activities. But the role that they play are pretty comparable to the BA tasks. Or your title can be a Scrum Master. Or your title can be a project manager. Your title can be BA/PM. Your title can be a product owner or a product analyst. But the task that you perform will be similar to BA tasks. In that case, you can still qualify and take the exam. And then the industry that it belongs to, there's some drop downs, and then job title, the organization name, address, the contact details, and then the name of the project. So in this case, for example, there's a project. How many hours in needs assessment or planning phase, analysis, traceability and monitoring, evaluation. And then look, you just need to mention some text here, okay, which is pretty straightforward. Again, they don't have much space, about 300 characters long, so it's going to be easy. And then you fill that, and then finally, whatever your education is, wherever you got your BA training from, wherever you got it from, and then mention it. And then that brings to the end of the application process. So filling out the application is not a big deal. So what are some of the other titles that people in the space of BA might be known as or might be called as? Agile team member, business architect, BI analyst, business process analyst, business subject matter experts, data functional operation systems or user experience analyst, enterprise business analyst, product manager, project owner, project manager, requirement software, requirement systems, or value engineers. Some of you may be called as a requirements engineer or value engineers or requirements manager. Again, these are all the titles that are acceptable, and these are generally the titles that people would be falling in or would be having in different companies if they're performing any of the BA-related tasks. Okay, the source for the listing of title is there's a book called BA Practitioner's Guide on page 4. They list all this. Now, what is BA Practitioner's Guide? So let me again take you back If you go to the PMI PBA certification page, click on Review Tips, they actually list out the tips to prepare for the exam. So they say, hey, review PMI PBA handbook. Okay? And then following that, you can also look at the other reference list. For example, if you look at the reference list, there's a guide to a project management body of knowledge, PMBOK. And then there's BA for practitioners, the practice guide. So most of the questions, 80% of the questions or 90% of the questions will come from this book. It's actually available on Amazon. You can also get that from Amazon. Or if you become a member of PMI, you can actually download this book. You can actually download ebook. Okay. As part of the training program, this is what I'll be covering. I'll be covering all the contents in this book. So once you become a member, you'll automatically have access to the ebook. So you don't need to purchase a practice guide unless you are a paper person. So that's an option. So based on that listing in that book, these are the different titles that an individual can have in their BA job in a company or in any industry. All right. So one thing about the certification is the reason why most of you got interested is because there's a coupon code that I have provisioned, and you can enter the coupon code, and I think there's about $250 off. So if you take out $250 from $405, your total exam fees is $155. So $155 plus your $129, the PMI member. It's actually very cheap, and probably, this is probably like a once in a while opportunity for you. Okay. So there's an option like pay by voucher. That's not where you enter the code, but if you go to the company code, this is where you enter. This is the code, right? Some of you already have access to this code, BAVE 2016. If you select that and enter that value and then click on next. So this is where the application process looks in the actual application. There's introduction. Once you do all of that, then, before that, this is the application process. So you will get all the details, whatever we covered over here. And then you will be able to do the test for, as I said, $155 US dollars. And finally, once you clear the exam and pass the test successfully, put your name here in the spot. And you will be a professional in business analysis. Okay, this is this certification. All right, so let me open the course content and the portal that I'll be provisioning with access to each and every one of you as part of this training program. So this is pretty much what we covered today, overview of PMI PBA, and then I probably may just do some revision of what business analysis is, overview of that. Opportunities for you as a business analyst in the market. Some of you already have a job, you know the opportunities. Some of you already work as a business analyst. Those of you who did not, again, you probably heard me talk about this in the class. And then we will go over needs assessment. With the needs assessment, why perform needs assessment, or identify problem or opportunity. And then as you see the details on the right side. And then there's BA planning. And then for under each and every domain, we have an exam portal that I was able to build. And for each of these domains, there is a chapter-wise test that will be available to you so that you can perform, you can practice the concepts. Requirements, elicitation, analysis, you see there's a longer list or bigger list than other domains. Does anyone remember the number of, the percentage of questions from requirements analysis, requirements, elicitation, analysis? If yes, type the response in the chat window. What percentage of questions would you get from requirements, elicitation, and analysis on the test? 35%. Very good. I just want to make sure people are still attentive and awake. Okay. And then traceability and monitoring. And finally, solution evaluation. And then also there are 2 full-length tests for you to practice, a 4-hour-long test. And then also I'll be covering some of the other topics, like I think I probably covered the tips to fill up the application. Now we will talk about interviewing tips or career planning tips as part of the training program. Now, let me bring up the exam portal, which is the main thing. So it's myexams.online. Myexams.online. Once you express your interest to continue with the training program, then I will be provisioning you with access to this portal, and you'll just see PMI PBA in your listing at the time. So if you click on that, if you click on, you need to choose an option, topic-wise or full-length. So let's say topic-wise. And then let's say click on needs assessment. Click on start test. I'm just going to say 5 questions, and then you start with number 1. So you've been asked to use Net Promoter Score to measure consumer or customer loyalty for the services of product and services. Which one of the following represents the method of getting NPS? NPS is Net Promoter Score. Okay, it's a metric that has been widely used since 2016. 80% of the Fortune 100 companies are actually using NPS. Would anybody like to guess what the answer could be? Give me an option. Type your answer in the chat window. Is it 1, 2, 3, 4? Option 1, 2, 3, 4. Just type 1. Which one of the following represents a method of getting Net Promoter Score? So you need to know what NPS is. You need to know how to calculate NPS. So take a guess. I know you don't know how to calculate NPS, but take a guess. Somebody's saying 3, somebody's saying B or C or C. Okay, let's go with C because a lot of people are saying C. So click on C and then check answer. No, it's not correct. So you got to choose another one. Which one is this? Any other choice? Okay. A lot of people are saying 4. Let's go with that. 4 is wrong. 2 is correct actually. Right? 4 is not correct. 2 is the correct answer. And why is 2 correct answer? So there's some justification that is also made available to you. Okay. Let's go to the next question here. You're working in a manufacturing organization and have been asked to identify primary activities to improve business processes required to solve problem of non-availability of critical spare parts, which results in an excessive downtime. Which one of the following is not a business benefit associated with investigation? See, in a question, the main thing to succeed or to be successful in any of the certification tests is there is a lot of information provided in the question. You need to understand what is noise and what is useful. Point number 1. Point number 2, you need to understand then what is the question. What are you being asked here? So there is a lot of noise in this question. What is that noise? You're working in a manufacturing organization and have been asked to identify primary activities to improve business process. See, this is all noise. How do you improve the business process? How do you identify the primary activities to improve the business process to solve a problem of non-availability of critical spare parts? Right? If yes, then which one of the following is not a business benefit associated with the investigation? So let's say people are typing easy customer commute. Let's see what it is. That is correct. That's good. You are a business analyst in supermarket and have developed customer perspective to discover the reasons why different customer segments choose to buy weekly food shopping from your supermarket rather than others. You considered their perspectives expected from the timing, financial, and quality areas of performance. After developing a clear picture of what your customers are willing to exchange for having their food shopping needs, you've developed a value proposition statement. Which one of the following statements is not true in regards to the situation? Any guesses? Which is not a true statement with regards to the value proposition statement. People are saying 2 or 3. Let's go with 2, for example. See, that is correct. Good. It is the correct answer. You're analyzing a business situation to introduce new business process required to integrate new technological trends in your products. Okay. You identified many options as a recommendation to improve the business process, but you would like to shortlist 3 options that you can present to further shortlist the options. Which of the following is least considered an example of a business issue and not necessarily to be considered? Which is not a business issue, and which one would you not consider? Essentially, that's the question. Any guesses? It's wrong. 3 is wrong. Let's go with A. A is wrong. 4 is correct. Wow, somebody is giving 4 here. So it looks like they already know all these questions. That's good. Which of the following is a process for evaluating, designing, and implementing rules that govern the organizations? Its processes and data. Everybody should be able to answer this question. If not, if you cannot answer this question, I will have to say that I did a bad job as a trainer in business analysis class. I should get at least 90% correct answer on this. 90% of the people should be able to answer it correctly. Which of the following is a process for evaluating, designing, and implementing the rules that govern the organization, its processes, and data? Is it business rules analysis, business rules, business need, cost benefit analysis? Which one? Can I get people to answer? Two is gone. It's actually business rule analysis, right? See, what is the difference between business rule and business rule analysis? Business rule is just about constraints. Business rule analysis is the process you're analyzing. See, this is where it gets tricky. The first instance is we all say, hey, business rule. Business rule is a condition or it's a constraint placed on requirement. For example, I can transfer money only 2 times a day. That is a constraint. But when you perform analysis, so now if I can transfer only 2 times a day, that means will my money transfer functionality work in a banking application? So that is the analysis that you will conduct, right? So that is what it is asking here. Okay, so this is again, you may just find 1 or 2 questions like that or a few questions like that in a domain, which can be a little bit tricky. But again, it's business rules. But I think everybody knows that it's business rules. It's just that you need to be able to choose the option. So that's good. All right, so that's how you do the test here, and then I click on that. Finally, I think you all got about 3 questions correct, and 2 were wrong. So that's what, 60%. 60%. See, that's what I told you, right? Without any preparation. So let's say if I give you this last question, or if I give you 60% on a total of 100 questions or 200 questions, you will probably pass the test, but it's like a borderline because nobody knows the pass percentage. They use a term called a psychometric analysis, and it depends on the complexity of the questions that you answered and the number of questions that you answered in each of these domain areas. Okay. But today, if you take the test, I think most of you will get about 60, 65, 70%. But if you need to pass for sure, you just need to up that number a little bit by at least another 15-20% so that there's no conflict or any issue. Okay. So that is the exam portal, and I think I should take you back to the exam portal just a second here. Let's go back to my courses and then click on Start Test and look at the full-length test. There are 2 full-length tests. So let's see if you click on that. So the timer starts. You can practice as if it's a real test. Okay. And as far as the classes are concerned, I'm tentatively planning to conduct these classes Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday for about 2 to 2.5 hours, 6 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Central, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. My current estimated duration is about 20 hours of training. Okay, so let's say if we start this program sometime next week on the 25th of January, because that coupon code is valid. In fact, you should at least go ahead and apply, fill up the application, submit the application online. That way you can, at least know what the status is. Because that coupon code that I mentioned, the BAV 2016, is only available to apply before March. There's a date in that, so some of you probably know that. So it's only before March. Let me just quickly look it up. You need to do that before 31st March of 2017 to take advantage of that. Okay? It was actually a quote from their virtual event that they conducted in November, I believe. So, about 20 hours, I would say, about 3 weeks, 3 to 3.5 weeks, depending on the participation, depending on the interest and the details that we will get into. So that's at a high level what this course is about and what the offering is. I'm going to be offering this for free to each one of you, so that you could be benefited, so that you can take advantage of this opportunity and progress or get an increased billing rate or find new jobs, whatever your need is at this time. Or even if you have to just do it for the sake of just gathering knowledge, that's fine too. And the question that most of you may have is, Naveen, I just haven't started my BA job yet, or I don't have experience like others do. But you may be having a different title, but you may have performed some of these tasks which I mentioned earlier, such as within the needs assessment. If you actually go back, if you have performed any of these tasks or some of these tasks, you can classify that as BA-related experience. Okay? All right. So at this time, I would like to open the floor for any questions that you may have. And I'll quickly answer your questions, and then we can wrap it up in the next few minutes. If you have a question, please unmute and mention your name. Click on the mic icon on the control panel. Mention your name and ask a question. Or if you cannot ask over the voice line, please type it in the chat window, and I'll be happy to answer your question. Okay, no questions? Okay, Idara, let me...
Naveen, hi, Kalyani here.
Go ahead.
I have a question regarding this. There is a course called CAPM, which does not require any work hours or experience. So if I enter my application for that course right now, and then after 6 months of time, when I feel like I got about 2,000 hours or 4,000 hours of experience, would my information be there as a fresher in the database or something, so that it can access it when I'm going for the next exam, that I'm still not having experience? Anything like that?
See, there's two theories on that. Number one, there are different groups or different set of people that will actually validate your application. In that case, no issues. But there's another theory, which is there's always just one standard group in PMI that validates or evaluates the application for the first time. In that case, it might be a conflict, because if you are saying that you don't have experience, and in 6 months you're saying that you got about 4,500 hours of experience suddenly, that might be a little bit of conflict. So I would be careful with that.
So do you suggest to go for PMI PBA directly instead of going for some no work experience courses?
If you have worked and if you have some experience in any other capacity, which probably included some of the BA-related tasks, I would say go for PBA. Or if PBA is not something that you're interested in, go for PMP. But CAPM is definitely last on the list, at least according to me.
Okay.
Some of you may disagree, but CAPM, I don't see much value in that. You either do PMP or PBA.
Okay.
All right, Bidara, your mic is unmuted. Yeah, no problem. Please go ahead and ask a question.
Hi, Naveen. This is Idara. I'm sorry I wasn't able to connect when you were doing your introduction. But I wanted to ask, because I saw that list on the various lists, the names you can use interchangeably as with the BA, like what different companies would call a business analyst, and this. And the project manager, I thought they were, well, I know there are two separate, titles. So some companies would call a BA project manager, or it should be like a BA that is doing like much of what a project manager does, right?
It depends. So, for example, project analysts, in some of the companies, BAs are called as project analysts. In some companies, BAs are managing some of the operational expensive projects, so they do play the role of a PM. So again, it's a combination. Yep.
Okay. So what about a systems analyst?
That is also qualified as a business analyst.
Okay.
Okay. Technical systems analyst, business systems analyst, IS systems analyst, IT business systems analyst, all of those will qualify.
Okay.
All right. Anybody else, any other questions? If you have a question, let me know and I can unmute. There's a question in the chat. Do we need the practice guide before the training? No, but it will help you if you have a practice guide, and you can get the practice guide once you become a PMI member. Once you pay the $129 to PMI, you can download all the kinds of practice guides, PMBOK and program management guide, portfolio management guide. All the standards are available to you for free. All right, Madhavi, please go ahead and ask your question. Your line is unmuted. Okay, so the dates are, I'm planning to start from the 25th of January.